This was a remarkable decision, $83.8 million. You had sort of surmised that it would be a big number like this. But tell me, after a few hours of being able to digest everything you've seen and having a look at these transcripts, you obviously heard it yourself, what you make of where we are in this situation.
You know, Ali, I thought what was really remarkable about the closing arguments today is that both sides were trying to hammer home themes that were really much larger than the conflict between Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll. And you just cited the way in which Robbie Kaplan tried to do it, which is to make this about the rule of law and that no one is entitled to be above that rule of law. And throughout the trial, in their behavior, Donald Trump and his lawyers and others in his orbit consistently behaved in a way that it can only be described as entitled. And that had to have been observed by the jurors. It wasn't just that Donald Trump got up and walked out on Robbie Kaplan in court today. It was that Steve Chung, his spokesperson, showed up in the courtroom yesterday and had his cell phone go off when nobody is supposed to have a device in the courtroom. It's that his advisor, Boris Epstein, sat in the well of the courtroom, even though he's not counsel of record and hasn't entered an appearance in the case, but nonetheless felt free to continue to stand up and pass notes back and forth between Trump and his other lawyers, much to the judge's chagrin. It is that Alina Habba continued to fight with the judge on the record and off in a way that couldn't have escaped the jury's notice. So I think Robbie was very successful today in getting the jurors to focus on what was right in front of them, that this is a group of people who empower the highest among them all. They all believe they're above the law, and it was time for it to stop.
Faith, as Roberta Kaplan said, how much will it take to make him stop? What's your sense of that? Is $83.3 million going to make him stop? Doesn't seem, I have to say, he already started posting about this right after the case was over.
So, look, I think it goes right back to the point Lisa's been making here, which is this is a situation where Donald Trump has gotten up and down in the courtroom and has said in the jury's earshot, and has said for those out in the public who are following him, this is not America. He said it over and over and over again, almost screaming it at one time. And in fact, it turns out that this is about America. This is completely American. The country is based on the idea of fairness. It was founded on it, that no one is above the law, that no matter how rich or powerful you are, even a former president, you have to be called to account in the same way the jurors have to sit in the jury box, the judge has to do his job, etc. And I think what the jurors were responding to today with that huge number was two things. One, Trump's statements about his enormous wealth and what will deter him, what would actually make him stop. And also they were sending a message that what he is doing is un-American and is just not fair. And there's a price tag for that.
Lisa, at one point, Roberta Kaplan said, even if you don't like a jury's decision, you are supposed to follow it. Those are the rules. This doesn't depend on your politics. It doesn't depend on who you vote for or whether you support a particular policy or a particular party. We all have to follow the law. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social shortly after this decision, I didn't agree with either of the verdicts. And it's just an interesting concept that he puts out there. I don't know how that works. Do most people who get convicted of something or found liable of something like the verdicts? Is that supposed to be important? Because with Donald Trump's sort of cult following, it sort of works. It's like, I didn't agree with the verdict, so I don't think I should have had to be responsible for paying for them.
Well, you know, Ali, in the ordinary case, if you have a finding of liability against you, in addition to exercising your appeal rights, you can say that you don't agree with it, or you can continue to deny even the facts that led to your liability. What makes this different is twofold. One, this was a defamation case, and what Donald Trump was found liable for was lying about E. Jean Carroll. And two, because these two parties had previously litigated virtually identical facts with respect to the defamatory statements, Donald Trump was subject to a legal doctrine we know as collateral estoppel. It means basically this thing has already been litigated. You're not entitled to contest it. And that's why in this courtroom on this trial, The only question before the jury was damages. That's why Donald Trump's disagreement with the verdict isn't just an ordinary disagreement. It's essentially jury nullification. It's ignoring a verdict of the jury. And at one point, Habba almost tried to diminish it as just a jury verdict. You can imagine how that went over with these jurors, particularly when Judge Lou Kaplan mentioned to them, your responsibility comes from the Constitution. Jurors are mentioned explicitly twice in the Constitution, and what you are doing here is as critical and foundational to our democracy as anything else that we do as a country.
Faith Gay, we see this after Rudy Giuliani's a very big judgment against him, where he's put out some financial statements now, and he doesn't seem to have the money to pay for the judgment. We've seen with Alex Jones an inability to pay for the judgment, or an unwillingness to. What happens in this case with Donald Trump, who is on the record about talking about how much money he has?
Well, certainly he'll fight this in the appellate courts as long as he can. He'll say that the punitive damages component of the verdict is unjustified. It's disproportionate to what actually happened. So that will play out for some months ahead, maybe for some years ahead. We'll see. And then he'll do everything he can, as we know from Mr. Trump's past, not to pay. Once again, not playing by the rules of the game. But interestingly, eventually, we have very talented, very thoughtful and strategic lawyers on the side of Eugene Carroll. I don't see them resting until he pays.